Hello, museum families, and welcome to Royal BC Museum Kids, RBCM at Home Kids, a play date through screens across British Columbia and the world. The previous sessions are recorded and you can find them on our Royal BC Museum YouTube page. So my name is Chris O'Connor, and I'm a learning program developer at the Royal BC Museum. The museum, and I am for the first time during this program actually at the museum, and my home is on the territory of the Lekwungen speaking people, the Songhees and Esquimalt nations here in Victoria on Vancouver Island. And while I live in Victoria now, I grew up in Philadelphia, which is a big city in the United States. And right now, Philadelphia and a lot of other big cities and smaller towns in the United States are having kind of a hard time. Many people there are feeling like they're not being treated fairly, which is true. And they're not being treated fairly because of the color of their skin. And many people feel so strongly about things not being fair that they're expressing their anger and frustration and sadness and lots of other emotions by protesting, by marching in the streets together, saying this unfairness is not okay. And this is a good thing because their voices are being heard. And people are protesting right here in Canada as well, because sometimes there has been and there is that same kind of unfairness here. So if you hear Black Lives Matter or Indigenous Lives Matter, it's because they do, and we should all help to make that so. So we celebrate people raising their voices and calling for a more fair world where everyone belongs and everyone is loved. And today our theme and activity is making zines, which is kind of a do-it-yourself magazine. And zines have been a great way over many years for people to have their voices heard and share their story creatively with lots of people. But first, as I always do, I want to go back to what we did last week. We were joined by our collection manager of history. Sorry, I'm just going to start. So our collection manager of history, Paul Ferguson, and one of our museum designers, Steve Lewis. And we looked at food labels in the collections, and then we actually made food labels as well. So here's an example of a new kind of Ritz cracker box, and also a can of carrots. So it's just some of the examples of the labels that we made last week. What you're gonna do today is make zines, and we'd love to see what you've made. So please share it with me. It's the highlight of my week is to get art from RBCM at Home Kids. So share that with me at coconnor@royalbcmuseum.bc.ca. We'll put it in the chat as well. Or through our social media channels at Royal BC Museum or #RBCMKids. After the session, keep exploring. Visit our learning portal, which is a really fun, engaging place to learn new things. You can Google Learning Portal Royal BC Museum, and it'll come up, or there's the address there too. And then next week, we have a returning guest, Heidi Gartner, who's the collection manager of invertebrate zoology. She did a session with us around tide pool doodles. So next week, in celebration of World Ocean Week, she's gonna do deep sea doodles. So looking forward to that. So I'm gonna come back out and hello again. So we are, with this format, it's a webinar. So especially for a raised class, that maybe this is the first time you're seeing this program, it's a webinar. So you can see us, but we can't see you. But we can hear you if you write a comment or do the question and answer box on Zoom, or if you're on Facebook Live in the comments section, and our colleague Wes is there, and he'll see your comments and let us know what your comments are. Today we're going to be creating zines. So you'll need paper, something to draw with, and scissors. Optional, you could have glue and tape, and magazines, but those are just optional. The most important thing is paper, something to draw with, and scissors. And we're recording this session, so if you need to take a break or you need more time to gather materials, you can just play it again later. The most important thing is to be good to yourself and to others during this time, so do things at your own pace. So let's meet our special guests today. We have our first parent-kid combo as our special guest today, Genevieve and Ray. Genevieve is an archivist at the BC Archives, and Ray is her kid.
A grade 3 student who attends Mackenzie Elementary School.
Thank you. And we're so happy that you're here and you're joining us. So welcome, you two.
Thank you. Thank you for having us, Chris. We're excited about this. Ray, is there anything else that you'd like to say about yourself, about who you are?
No.
No? Okay. We live in Victoria, and like Ray said, he's a grade 3 student, and we're really excited that some of his classmates are joining us today. And we are going to talk about making zines. So this is a funny word that some people hadn't heard before, and I know that lots of people were asking us what a zine is. I just saw a question. Scissors are actually essential. We really do need scissors for one part of making a zine. So we'll talk a little bit about the history of zines. If you need a minute to go and get all of your supplies, then don't worry, you're not going to miss out on anything.
The word zine is short for magazine.
So a zine is like a little mini magazine. And these little mini magazines, we're going to show you how to make the most basic type of magazine today. So let's remember to hold it up nice and slowly so that everyone can see. So why don't you hold one up in front of the camera. And these little mini magazines are really simple to make, and they're really easy to share. And traditionally, this was a way for people to share information that might be harder to share, especially before the internet. If there was something that you felt really strongly about, but it wasn't something that was in a usual newspaper or a journal, or it wasn't being published or talked about, this was a really good way to share your thoughts and your feelings and connect with other people who had the same sorts of interests and beliefs as you. So there's a long history of making zines in communities whose voices might not be heard as well in the past. So we can talk a little bit about that as we continue on. I wanted to thank my friend and colleague, Libby, who is an archivist who lives in the States. She did a little zine making tutorial online, and that's how we learned how to make them, right, Ray? So some of the language that you'll hear Ray using today about types of folds, we learned from Libby because she taught us how to make these zines. I also wanted to say, yeah.
But before we watched that video, I had learned what those meant way before.
Oh, right. You already knew what a zine was. You just didn't know how to make them.
Yeah.
We were particularly interested in making zines because Ray really likes paper crafts, so he's really good at
making paper crafts.
But at origami specifically. So we thought that making zines would be a good way for Ray to do his writing practice, because as we've been at home during the COVID-19 pandemic, Ray needed to practice his writing and creating for school. And this was a great way for him to combine two of his passions, which is paper crafts and creating new things, and doing his writing. So I also wanted to quickly say hi to Jonathan, who is a very good friend of mine who's in Albuquerque. I saw his name pop up, so I wanted to let him know that I saw him and say hi to my friend in Albuquerque. So let's show a couple of the zines that we've made, and then I'll show some more that I've collected over the years.
This one is called a fanzine, and Mom especially wanted to show it because
Ray, can you say that again? It's called a what kind of zine?
What kind of zine?
A fanzine.
So fanzine, it combines the words fan, like you're a fan of something, and zine. So it's specifically a type of zine that is about something that you really like. So often people make fanzines about books or movies that they're really interested in. So Ray, what is your favorite book series?
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter. And how many times have you read the Harry Potter books?
I've read the first one twice, the second one twice, the third one twice, the fourth one twice, the fifth one 1.5 times, the sixth one number 6 one time, and the seventh one 1 time.
That's right. And we've watched some of the movies as well.
We've watched 5 of the movies.
Yeah. So he really likes Harry Potter, so he wanted to make a fanzine. So this is an example. What are these pictures right there from a magazine, and what did you choose these pictures for?
Because they look like animals from Harry Potter.
That's right. So he was using his imagination to think about real life animals that are similar to creatures that show up in Harry Potter. And this is one, you know, this one's pretty simple, but he might add some more information to it in the future. He might add some more writing to it to talk more about why he chose these images.
So I have a question for you, Ray. Did you have a clear idea of what you wanted in the zine, or did you start working on the zine and then it gave you ideas as you were working on it?
I started working on the zine and it gave me.
Okay, great.
So some of the other things that we've made zines about, because this time has been really strange for us because we're all at home. I'm not going to work, which is unusual, right? And have you been going to school? You can speak up. No, not going to school. So we're doing school at home, and it's a bit.
Until September.
So it's been a little bit strange. Yeah, hopefully. So we've been using zines as a way to think about what we're feeling and what's different in our lives. Okay, put your rock down, Steve. Oh, sorry. So can you tell them, I'm going to hold it up for you, but can you tell them what this zine is all about, Ray?
This zine is about what I do every day during COVID-19.
And what's this picture on the front?
It's because every day I go on an app called Chess Kid and play chess on the computer.
And you play chess on the board as well, right? What's the first thing you and I do in the morning?
We go for a run.
That's right, we go for a run. And Ray used this to list all of the different things that he does every day. Lots of chess, lots of chess. And I think, Ray, you can tell me if I'm right about this, but I think this was really helpful for you to think about how your life has changed, right? By putting it down on paper. So you can see this one is one that was done completely by doing
hand.
By hand, writing and drawing.
So was this. I saved my pencil from falling into the depths of the table Grand Canyon. And also this one I drew, but I wrote and drew, but I used a pen.
Ray, can you bring it a little closer to the camera?
I'll hold it up. This one is about shipwrecks because Ray and his brother are really, really, really like shipwrecks. They're really interested in ships that have sunk in the past.
This one is on the HMS Britannic. That was.
This one's about the Olympic.
No?
Yeah, I just turned it to the page on the Olympic.
Oh, Olympic, yeah.
So there's more pages. We won't go through all the pages. Now we're going to show you.
This is a zine where you can make it extra long by cutting on all of the folds on the inside pages. Cutting all of the folds except this one, except the big main back fold, and then stapling it.
Well, we'll show them how to do that once we start folding, which we're going to do.
That does give me an opportunity to ask a question that someone asked is, in terms of paper, how many pieces of paper will they need?
So we're going to do a really simple one today with one piece of paper, and that will make a 4-page zine, or if you want to go a little bit further, it can be an 8-page zine, right? Right?
Yeah, and I just saw something pop up in the chat, and I haven't played that game before.
Okay. We're going to get to the folding in just a second. I very quickly just wanted to show people some examples of other zines because I've collected zines over the years, and I wanted to give people an idea of what zines might look like if you're out in the world and where you might find them. So zines are a great way, like I said before, for people to share their thoughts and ideas and to get information published that they might not otherwise. This is a little free one all about why we should love each other and care for refugees that come to our country. This is an example of one that was a publication with lots of writing in it, and it's a combination of writing and pictures. So here's a story all about Narnia and why they like the Narnia books. And this one they charge just a few dollars for. So usually zines traditionally are free or very cheap. If they do have a charge, it's only usually to cover the cost of publication so that they can share the information.
Genevieve, we have one question. Has there been zines that have been made out of, like, as a flip book?
I saw that comment come up. Yes, we haven't made one. We should make a flip zine, hey? Because Ray really likes flip pictures and flip books, right? That's a great idea. Definitely, you can make.
You just need more pages.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, what's a flip?
You know, like when in your books, when you can scroll the pages, like in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I think does it, or Dogman. One of your comic books does that, where you flip the pages and it looks like it's moving.
Oh yeah. That Flip-O-Rammer from Dogman.
Right, from Dogman. And then finally, this last zine that I wanted to show you is a regular zine that's made, and it's all about feminism and cycling, which are two things that I feel very strongly about. So this one is called Taking the Lane, and they have a website, so I recommend you look it up. Okay, but now let's get to the fun part, making the zine. This is what everyone's been waiting for. So we're gonna put the camera down like this. Okay. So remember, we're going to go nice and slow so everyone can follow along. So we're going to start with one piece of paper. Okay. So Ray, what's the very first thing that we do with our piece of paper?
First, you take either the bottom or the top, it's your choice, and fold it either way or towards you.
Okay.
And make it long, like this.
And what do we call that kind of fold?
We call this hot dog style.
Hot dog style. So remember, don't flip it around. It's hard for people to see, right? We want to hold it nice and still so people can see. So this is called a hot dog style fold.
So it kind of looks like a tent now.
Yeah, kind of. Exactly. Nice and long. So now what's the next fold we do, Ray?
We fold it
in half. And what's this fold called?
This fold is called a hot dog style.
No, it's not.
I mean, this fold is called hamburger style.
So this is a hamburger style fold because now it's square.
It's not exactly square, though. It's more rectangular.
That's true, but it's not as long as the hot dog.
You fold it hamburger style.
Okay, so hold it still, please, Ray. Put it down. Put it down so that everyone can see you holding it. Put it down on the table. Okay, so now we've got it folded up like this. It kind of looks like a booklet.
But this isn't a zine quite yet. We unfold everything next.
Okay, so everyone, you should be at this stage now.
It should look like this.
Okay, so it's all folded up. You can see all the lines. And now what do we do?
Lines is what we call it. And now we fold it
hamburger style. Okay. Okay.
And even though it might seem like it, this isn't the most complicated part. And it's time to use scissors. So open them up. And there's the folds of line right here. And then there's a line going up the middle. You cut along that line and stop where all four lines meet.
So we're folding from the fold, not from the open part, but from the folded side. Just halfway up.
Mm-hmm.
And now what does it look like, Ray?
Some walking legs. Walking around. So we're not making humans, we're making zines.
That's right. So we don't need our scissors anymore.
Yep. Push aside those dangerous trumpy thingies. And now place your fingers.
So Genevieve and Ray.
Yes.
Just if you can, that's the hard part. If you could just go back a couple steps. There's one of our, one person is a little confused.
Okay.
Just go back just a couple steps.
So if you were at the point where it was all, you had unfolded all of your folds, Then you would lay down your page flat again and fold it hamburger style, which is where you're folding it not really long, but more like into a fatter square. And then you would take the part, not the part that opens, but the other side where it's bent, where it's folded over. And you're just going to cut up the middle line to the halfway point from the fold. And then what you end up is it's open on one end, and the other end can move like this.
It's like some walking legs.
We can always go through, we've brought some extra papers, so if people want us to, we can do some folding again after this. We can go through the whole thing one more time if people would like.
I think that's good. We can continue on.
Unfold it. And this is the hardest part. The one that I told you about before.
And can you just speak up a little bit? It's a little hard to hear.
Come a bit, lean in a bit. So now we've got the paper like this, and it should look kind of like a mouth in the middle. It's got this like open gap just in the middle. Okay, so now Ray, put your hands down a bit.
Place both of your pointer fingers right in the crease, hot dog crease.
Okay, so right in the middle there, with the gap in the middle. Yeah.
Yep.
And now what, Ray?
Hold it and put your finger there.
Oh, to be really? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna leave my fingers in. I think it helps a little bit, but yeah.
And now, close.
So this is where it can be hard to see what we're doing on the screen, but I'm gonna put my paper right in front. You push so that the part that's split goes like that. And then you fold it together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now before we fold it one more time, Ray, I'm just gonna show them that one more time, okay? So you've got the cut part. Push it open like this. And then it will kind of naturally fold over, and you can just push it down flat. Okay? And once you've done that, what's the very last fold you do?
Fold it. Hamburger style.
And now
you've got yourself a zine.
So now you can open it up, and you should have
4 pages. And to make it longer, as I said before.
Oh, don't unfold yours, right? That makes it confusing.
As I said before, I'm just gonna say it again. So you just take your scissors.
Oh, I think let's wait. I think some people are still catching up, right? So.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to do that part one more time so that people can see it. So again, if you've got to the point where you've got that cut in the middle, you're going to fold it over and then push it so that it splits in half like that. And then you fold it over and then you fold it one more time. And then you've got your little magazine with some pages. And this is the most simple way. You don't need to staple it. You've got a little booklet. You've got some pages to fill in with a cover, a front and a back. And this is a great way to make your zine. And traditionally people would make zines like this, and then they would photocopy them and distribute them to their friends or other people who were interested in the same things that they were interested in. Now, as Ray was saying, if you wanted to make it a little bit longer, you could
take your snifty scissors again.
We're not going to actually do this. We're just going to tell you in case you wanted to make it double the length.
And then cut all of the folds except the main back fold, the back spine. So
you can cut the pages to make them as twice as many pages, and then you would have to staple it though, because then it wouldn't stay together on its own.
Then you'd have to, well, staple it or a bit harder, tape it. Mm-hmm. Stapler.
So just got it.
So I'll just say, yeah, that was a really good description, and it can be a little bit challenging to make, but once you get it, then you get it. So just a reminder to everyone that we are taping this, and it will be probably by tomorrow be up on our YouTube, Royal BC Museum YouTube page. So you could always go back and play it again just to get it. but we have about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So even if you haven't gotten it out there, you could start to make some, we could start to make some of what the zine could be.
So we're gonna start, Ray, stop playing with your hair. Okay, so we're gonna start, get your pencil. And I should say that we did have to watch Libby's a few times before we had it memorized. So definitely go back and watch it again if you need to. We thought today we would make a zine all about the things that we want to do once the pandemic is over, once things start to go back to normal. So things that we've missed that we've been thinking about a lot. And this is a way for us to kind of think about how we've been feeling and things that we're really sad about missing out on. So we'll just start, we'll maybe do 1 or 2 pages right now because then it'll be probably time to finish. But remember, you can continue working on this at home and make other ones, and you can do it on whatever subject you want. You don't have to do it on the same thing as us. So Ray, do you want to start by writing a title page? What should we title it? Oh, don't worry, we're gonna, people can keep asking questions. Ray really wanted to make sure that people had a chance to ask questions. So why don't we start drawing our title page while people start asking us questions, okay? So we're gonna work on a title page, but please do send in your questions if you like.
I'll be watching the chat box.
Okay, well, why don't you write a title page? Okay. I'm gonna call mine, Things I've Missed During COVID-19. Okay. That's what I'm going to call mine.
What topics are you thinking of?
I think Kim's asking everybody else that's taking part to see what they're interested in doing. Okay, so I'm going to start my title. And remember, you can do it all writing. You can draw pictures. You can do it all one color or lots of colors. You can cut out things from magazines to help illustrate what you're writing. There's lots of things you can do. You can do whatever you want. You can be really creative. Oh, somebody says, I'm doing quarantine life. Yeah, that's a good one. We've done something similar to that. Yes, you can choose your own zine, so you can do anything you like. That's the great thing about zines. This is a chance for you to write about what you care about or what you think you want to tell people about. That was one of the original reasons why people started making zines. I was going to talk a little bit about the types of zines that people made. So way back in the 30s, lots of people started writing about science fiction in zines. So they made fan fiction about science fiction books. My first introduction to zines was in the 90s during the Riot Girl movement, where there were lots of girls and women who were trying to make space for themselves and for the things that they were interested in, especially in the punk scene. So a lot of punk musicians who weren't getting record deals the way they saw their male counterparts. So lots of men and boys who were getting to play their music, and the girls weren't. So they would make zines to spread awareness and tell people about their band or their music or other things that they were interested in. Oh, someone's doing something related to Harry Potter, just like your Harry Potter ones. So a lot of things that are considered not to be mainstream, often people would create zines to talk about them as a way to share information. And that's why, again, like the one that I have about feminism and cycling, because those things, I mean, we're lucky. I think in Victoria, you see a lot of women cycling, but in some places in the world, I think there's fewer women that go cycling because they're not as, maybe they're not as comfortable with it, or they don't feel like it's something that they're allowed to do. So it's really nice to be able to have a little booklet that's all about people like me who do the same sorts of things that I do in different parts of the world, and to hear their stories and see their illustrations about it.
And one thing I noticed, Genevieve, last time, I think it was at the Vancouver Library, is that they had a whole section for zines that people could, to have a book in the library can take a lot of effort, but they have zines just from people in the community to be able to share their ideas. So you don't need lot of money to create a book to have in a library, but you can have a section of the library for zines.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wanted to mention some of the places where I've often bought zines, or not bought, or picked up, got free ones or bought zines. Libraries are a good way. Lots of libraries now have sections with zines, but also places like used bookstores and record stores. You'll often find that they have a little rack or a shelf with, oh, somebody said I'm doing it about why I love my mama. That is so nice. That's a wonderful thing to write a zine about. That's great.
No pressure, Ray.
Yeah. You know what? Ray's little brother did one all about his dad, but it was all about all the pranks that he wanted to do on his dad.
That's cute.
Yeah, so record stores, there's places like stationery stores. So one of my favorite places that I've found zines in Victoria, and there's one in Vancouver, is a place called, I just went blank on the name. It's on by Market Square there.
I'm going blank on that as well.
Oh, I'll find it and we can post it online. Anyway, they often have zines there, which is nice. And some ministry, yes, the Ministry of, yeah, I don't think that's, the Regional Assembly of Text, thank you.
Right.
The Regional Assembly of Text. And there's one in Vancouver on Main Street, and they carry a lot of zines, and they actually have space where you can make them yourself as well. So they have typewriters. Yeah. And the one in Vancouver has a whole floor where you can go and create things, which is really great.
Yeah.
So,
well,
Ray's working on his
right
cover.
at the end, it would be like, I'd love to see your cover page. What do you have so far?
Ray, can you show your cover page?
I'm drawing a tent right now.
Oh, nice.
Camping.
So one of the things you want to do is to go camping?
Yeah, because a couple weeks ago we discovered a tent in the very back shelf of our garage. We actually discovered two, but one of them Mom had borrowed from someone else. But one of them we just had no idea whose it was, so we just supposed it was ours, and we've been setting it up in the backyard too.
Yeah, we've been doing some backyard camping because we actually had a trip planned to go to Salt Spring Island, and it was canceled, which was really sad, but everybody had to be safe and stay home, so we didn't go on that trip. So we've been doing kind of backyard trips instead, which has been a nice thing to do in the meantime, but I think Ray's looking forward to doing something
beyond
a little real.
And also, I made a huge fort in the basement that's more like a movie studio than a fort.
Oh, wow.
And it's very cozy. And I know a lot of other kids are making forts and spaces where they feel really comfortable during the pandemic. That's another thing that I think people have been doing a lot as a way to make themselves feel cozy and comfy in a time that's a little bit strange and unusual. So Ray's been spending a lot of time in his fort.
And I've been writing in a notebook.
And we just got a note from Parnet that said they were going to be in Dubai right now. So yeah, like if different plans change, so
really
these
awesome.
are a way to chronicle that. Maybe think about like what it would have been like if you were in that place.
Yeah, exactly. That's something I've been thinking about, all the things I was supposed to be doing.
And we've got an old bed in the basement. So I had made it around that bed and taken all the foamy off and cleared it out, and now there's a stool on there. And I took one of the drawers inside out to be some storage. And I've also been like, and to make it, I wanted to be able to stand up because the last pillow fort didn't work too good because it just kept on falling down.
Okay, Ray, I think people are starting, some people have to go, so we do need to start saying goodbye to people, okay?
Bye.
Yeah, so we're just going to finish.
And I tucked them in the ceiling board, and I tucked blankets in the ceiling boards in the basement, then clipped them together to make a fort, and I also used a shelter tent for quite a bit period. Bye.
So what we're going to do right now, we'll officially end. I just wanted to thank both you, Ray. Can I see your face? There you are. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, Genevieve, for showing us how to make zines and also the history of zines too. I put in the chat where you can send, we'd love to see the different kinds of zines you make. So feel free to send that to me. I put my email in the chat. And yeah, and then I'll show next week some of the ones that I get. So again, thank you so much. Today also at 2 o'clock, we're gonna have—
How many exclamation marks are there?
we're gonna have our RBCM at outside, which is all around exploring nature, especially from a kid perspective. So that's at 2 o'clock. And then every Tuesday and Thursday, we have our RBCM at home as well. So thanks again for joining. I'm gonna officially stop the Facebook live stream right now, and I'm gonna stop the recording.
No, we're not stopping.